So, today we're going to do some fun stuff. Well, you know, when I do them, everything is fun anyway. So, we're going to work with gestures. Of course, it's an important part of, of a Souls-like game. Otherwise, it's not a Souls-like game. And yeah, we're also going to add the kick. Not the kick the same way we did it before, like if you are unarmed. Okay. We're going to basically take this animation and we're going to recreate the logic that, made it in Souls. Well, if you don't know how to do the kick in Dark Souls, basically you have to tilt slightly the move amount and then press the R1. Of course, it's easier said than done. I had to practice it a lot and still fail sometimes. Anyway, we're going to do that. And the thing with a kick is that every weapon, well, most weapons will have a kick, but a few of the weapons can actually have their own animation over there. So we're also going to do that as well. Which means into our weapons, we have all of this. Okay. And what we're going to also do is we're going to add one more thing in here. Let's go. Weapon. We have all of this. Well, it can be sort of an action, but yeah, let's just make it a little bit more universal. So I'm going to say, let's see, maybe it's better if we have this on the weapon stats. Let's check what we have. No, we're going to leave it. It's fine where it is over here. So I'm going to say override kick animation, and I'm going to have public string, and I'm going to say kick animation. Okay, and this will come into play if you want to basically, use something else instead of the kick. Now, on to State Manager. We should add a few more stuff, and I'm going to say kick timer, and I'm going to add, let's make it public so we can monitor what it's doing. And in the, well, we can do this in here. Let's do it above the detect action. So if you cannot kick, or let's actually just make it encapsulated. Let's say, maybe we can put it in here. Void monitor kick, and we can say if you cannot kick, if move amount is greater than 0, so that means is, well, yeah, there is some movement at least, we can say that our kick timer will be adding with our delta. And here's the trick part: if kick timer is lower than 1, if 1 is going to be too much, like it's not even 1 in Dark Souls. Okay, can kick will be true, else can kick will be false. And actually, yeah, let's see. No, this needs a little bit of better thinking. So let's delete this if we don't necessarily need it. So this will always check if you can kick or not. Okay, but if you can kick, or maybe if can kick is false, for can kick to be true, we're going to have to say that your kick timer is lower, well, is basically 0. For the kick timer to be 0, that means you should be no. Let's go up here. Let's say bool can kick, public bool hold kick. Okay, we're going to say, let's ignore that. If not hold kick, move amount will be, oops. If move amount is greater than 0, then kick timer without not delegate delta, and if kick timer is lower than 1, then you can actually kick. Okay, else if it's higher than 1, then hold kick will be true and can kick will be false. Okay, so if move amount is 0, then kick timer will be minus r delta, and actually kick timer over here should be 1. Okay, and if kick timer is lower than 0, and kick timer is going to be 0, and hold kick will be false, and can kick, well, can kick and stay, yeah, can remain false. So hopefully this will work, we'll see. Monitor kick, and in the detect action, the same, not the detect action, we want our action slot inside the attack action. Okay, we have check for parry, check for backstab, and we can simply say if slot dot first step input is the right bumper. I'm hard coding it to right bumper because that's the way it is also in Dark Souls. And we can say if can kick, okay, then do a return. If you cannot kick, it's going to do whatever you want. So if you can kick, it's going to say that your target animation, well, maybe let's write it, string kick animation is going to, we're going to hard code this to kick 1, but if slot dot yeah, we should add it also into the actions, I guess. Yeah, let's take it into the action. So the first, basically the first step. Yeah, let's say public bool override kick and public string kick animation. So that will mean into our weapons we don't want them. Your definition, delete this. We should change the deep copies though. So deep copy action a dot override kick, w dot override no, from dot override kick, and a dot kick animation will be from dot kick animation. This is just in case, you know, you want to do it exactly like Souls does it. And we can just say here to dot override kick, from dot override kick, and to dot not damage to kick animation from dot kick animation. Okay, so we have also into our deep copy. So that means in here I can simply say if slot dot override kick, then your kick animation is going to be the what you have saved into your slot. So that will be kick animation. In most cases this means that the first action, which should always be probably be the right bumper. Okay, you can control what animation we want to play. We want all of this. And finally we want to crossfade to this. You can also get these two, but since it's always happening on the right hand, we can simply say that mirror is not false and just pass the kick animation. So in theory we should be clear. Let's try though. We need to have the we need to drop the handle kick, which was somewhere in here. Monitor kick, close this. Let's drop it inside the fixed tick, and basically we want to inside the decked action. So over here should be fine, hopefully. Monitor kick, close this. Let's hit play. And it actually worked. Of course it's a little bit the 1 second is a little bit too much, but just to be safe, just to show that it's actually working, let's add a few weapons into our guy, just to know that this isn't the unarmed. So let's say great sword, or let's two-hand the great sword. I guess there's no harm in it. Because why not? And the kick works. And if I'm attacking, let's see. It works, but it has a few issues at the moment. I think 1 second is way too much. And from what I can see, I'm stuck in a loop at this point. So let's go on the state manager and you can see that we can kick, so something means that it has broken. Let's open the debug. We have our kick timer. As you can see, something makes us let's make it the public, basically the amount for your kick. Of course you should tailor this into whatever you want. So I'm going to make this public float, kick max time, and I'm going to go with half a second. And actually we should also put in here amount, else can kick will be false, and kick timer will also be 0 if you're not moving, but it will also be false. Make this to false. And actually this is correct. Okay, and from what I can see, but you can see that 0.5 is still a lot. Like if I'm moving and I want to attack, so maybe 0.1. Okay, if you're fast enough you can do it, but if you move even a slightly bit, but you know what, you also, we forgot one thing. To do the kick you need to have the move amount higher than 0, but the moment you are pressing the attack, move amount, so you shouldn't be pressing anything on your move amount, so you shouldn't be pressing any keys in sense. So yeah, this kinda makes it slightly more complicated, I guess. So we can do this inside the attack action over here, and maybe if you can kick and move amount is 0, so that means this has taken into effect. So we have, for as much as this takes to go back to 0, you basically have that amount to, yeah, to do your kick. So if you're pressing forward and attack, you're doing your normal attack, but well, if you're super fast enough, we should, yeah, oops, we should be assigning in this we should be assigning the kick max time. Let's make it slightly more though, just to see that. Let's make it back to 1. We'll change this. Okay, so I'm moving okay, this now holds the kick, but for some reason he still keeps moving. That has to do with sensitivity actually. So I can kick, and no, I can kick, I'm leaving the kick, no, can't do it. Now it has the whole key. No, yeah, I don't think I, maybe this actually doesn't work. You can see that our move amount, oh yeah, the move amount is not as smooth. That definitely has to do with sensitivity, to be honest. Move amount, so let's make it so move amount is, we can give it a slight, you know, a slight touch at least. So we can say if move amount is lower than 0.05 or something like that, we might have to go even lower than that. So this will also be, and this is definitely has to do with, you know, the sensitivity stuff, because as you can see, it doesn't, the move amount doesn't get resetted entirely. And this will also be move amount lower. Let's make this into a variable actually. Public float, kick move amount threshold, or thresh for short, 0.5. Let's see. Let's see if this will work or make it work a little bit better, at least. No. I actually want to bring back down my move amount so we can monitor them together. Or maybe yet we can just take this and place them in here, and let's also take the move amount and put it down here. We should find the state manager also. Oops. I think we did something wrong in here. No. Kick timer, move amount is down here. So yeah, as you can see, this isn't actually perfect. So maybe we can just get rid of the move amount entirely inside our attack. So let's say if you can kick, but in here, maybe the delta, let's make it so that you decrease your kick at slower rate. No, that shouldn't really do anything. Now we should be able to do a kick, but we shouldn't be pressing the move amount. Yeah, we can do the kick now, but it will also happen if you are pressing the move amount. Oops. So let's say that your move amount, the kick max time will be 0.2. Oh, actually, let's make it so that it can decrease, or maybe can kick will be also false in here. So for this to increase, we're going to do something like this actually. So even if you are pressing the move amount, you'll be adding into your kick. You can kick for as long as you're lower than your kick max time, and your delta, your kick timer, is going to be decreasing by half the speed. So that means you will have a little bit more room, and then it's going to say that, you know, you cannot kick anymore. Yeah, this could work. Let's try it. So that means that you cannot have, you cannot press the forward button for a lot of time, or you can, I guess. And 0.2 is actually too much even. But even if I press for a slightly bit more the move amount, like I'm pressing it and holding it down, you can see that I'm still going to be doing my normal attack, which is what we want. So that means if I change this to 0.15 or something, you know, slightly less, I can do the kick, well, a little bit better, I guess. And 0.15 is probably too low. too much. Let's go with 0.1, and let's also say that when you are kicking, you cannot kick anymore. Can kick false. Kick timer will be 0. Yeah, we can also keep this. We can keep this like this. No need to encapsulate it, I guess, since we have a different speeds. We are decreasing a kick timer, so this will probably be closer to what Daxos does. Okay, if I keep the forward button for anything other than a slight second, you can see that the kick timer is going to basically increase even more than 0.1, so maybe even 0.08 is what we want. Okay, well, maybe we can go even more. But yeah, this will be closer to that, which is pretty cool. Okay, we can do the kick. Now there's no behavior on the kick though. We don't have any damage colliders and stuff like that. We'll cover that maybe into a different video. We'll see, because we'll have to do a little bit of touches into our character. But yeah, this will be our kick. Awesome. So the next thing we're going to do, we'll have to create a little bit of UI, just to make it a little bit fancier. So let's go into our canvas. We're going to take one of these, and actually I want to go into my resource manager. Let's switch back into normal, and we can do, let's take one of these again. Well, this is, yeah, let's do a copy of all of that. Let's drop it here. Somewhere around here should do fine, I guess. So I'm going to create another one, and I'm going to call this, well, let's call this gestures. And inside here I want to add actually a grid. We can do a grid layer group, I guess. It shouldn't really matter. And the cell size, for the cell size I want to basically check my well, 100 by 100, I guess, since this is an empty object. Or no, actually, yeah, let's go with 100 by 100. We'll see. Okay, so if I keep pasting all of this, we're going to get them all in a row. I'm going to turn this to start corner. No, let's go with start axis vertical. Spacing, let's go with 20 or maybe 15 again. Should do fine. And I'm going to delete the rest of this, but I'm going to keep one, and I'm going to change that. I'm going to, let's see what I want. I'm going to rename this into template, and I'm going to go into my UI. I'm going to create a new script, and I'm going to call this icon base. Let's delete all of that. Let's add namespaces. And I want to include my UI using Unity engine.ui, and all I want is public image. We want basically the icon. This will do for now, at least. Close this. We have our template, and we should just add icon base. find the icon first and drop it in here. Okay, so from this we can basically change the icon we have over there. Let's put an icon from the gestures. Let's put one of these. Oops. Okay. And now I want to go into my, we can do this into the resources manager, I guess, or we can just keep it like this, I guess. Let's let's make a dedicated script. Better to keep it cleaner, I guess. Script, and I'm going to say this gestures manager. So let's add the namespaces. And I want another serialized class, or serializable, correct. And I want to call this gesture container. And it's going to include an icon, or a sprite for the icon, and string, the target animation, nothing else. You can add more else. You can add effects and stuff like that, because you have gestures that shout at enemies or play a sound. We can do that, but we can do that on a later basis and not right now. We want this to be static, gestures manager, singleton, void awake. Singleton will be this. Now you can store the gestures in a scriptable object as well and do it like the rest of it, but since we only have we only have 5 gestures and you usually don't have a lot, and this data it's just nothing to store in there, so I guess it's not really needed that much. But okay, let's play it safe, and let's also add string, an integer, gestures dictionary. So we can do public gesture container, get gesture. You should be passing the ID, and what else we can pass? Let's think. We're actually going to need, we can just do integer index -1. If gestures dictionary try get value ID out index, and then you want to return your gestures index, otherwise just return null. Okay, so we need to have a way, we're actually going to check this, so we need to have if gestures, not actually, we should do for gestures dot count if gestures dictionary dot contains key gestures I dot we don't have, we can either add an ID or we can just pass the target animation. In this case it will work as an ID, so let's pass the target animation. Okay, we're going to say debug.log, although to be fair, since these are gestures, that means that this will be playing their unique animation. Okay, and so we should be clear if we're just taking the target animations as IDs as well. If not, you want to reuse for some reason through gestures the same animation, you can just add another string and call that ID, and we can just say gestures I dot target animation plus is a duplicate, else simply on your gestures dictionary dot add gestures I dot target animation and the I. Okay, now we also want to have, let's add the name of the UI, Unity Engine dot UI, and I want to have my public game object. I want to have the grid, so I'm going to call this gestures grid, and I also want to have my gesture icon template. Okay, so let's encapsulate the next part, which will be void create gestures UI. Oops. And what we'll be doing in here, we should just do for gestures.count game object geo instantiate gesture icon template as game object, geo.transform.set parent will be gestures grid.transform. Okay, positioning will happen because of the grid layout, but the next thing we want to do, we want to set active to true, and we should find the icon base. Icon will be geo.getComponent, let's do it in children, icon base, and we have our icon will be gestures I dot icon, and actually we want icon dot sprite, and we should also be saving inside the something. Anyway, we can just add an ID. If we reuse this icon based into something else, then we can also use that as well, but let's make it so it's a little bit more generic. So ID icon dot ID is going to be gestures I dot well, let's just pass the target animation, and we can do this in awake. Let's do this in start though. Let's keep the awake cleaner. So void start create gestures UI. Awesome. So close this. Let's add this into the UI manager, since it makes slightly more sense. And I want to get my gestures grid, which has the grid layout group. That's the important part. And what I also want to do is gestures icon template is going to be the first one I have in here, and I can actually just close this, so I don't have to make it as a prefab. Now we can go into our UI manager again, and on our gestures, let's see the animations we have. You know where to find the animations. Okay, so we have 6 animations. Let's open all of this. Let's write their names, which that will be hello, point down, point forward, point up, and praise. I'm going to let you guess what that is, and well. Okay, let's pass also the icons while we're here, which will be gestures hello, point down, point forward, point up, praise, and well. Okay, if we hit play now, we have our gestures UI. We need to fix this again. So it has to do with something, yeah. You can see that the scale is a little bit higher, is 1.8. So that means when we create all of this, we should be doing go.transform.local scale vector 3.1. And that has to do because of the difference, like the UI scales because of the settings we have set up in here. This should be correct, and it isn't. This will be correct. Maybe we can, oh yeah, we should first parent it and then add them as okay. We have all our gestures. We're not going to make the one that you can swap gestures. That should be easy to do. Well, let's just work only with this, and I'm more concerned into making, you know, the behavior that actually plays the animation. Let's change the child alignment to maybe middle center, or I think we actually need to get out of this. Gestures, middle center, no. Constraint fixed column row 1, and the more we add, it's just going to expand on both ways. Delete, close the template, and let's maybe place it somewhere here, I guess. Or maybe yet we can just, let's go dead on the X. Yeah, something like this, I guess, and we can select through each one of these which one we want to play. Nice. So before we add the logic, let's go back again into the gestures. Where you create the gestures, the next thing I want to do is basically say gestures set active false, and I want to do public void open gestures menu, and yeah, this will be gestures grid set active to true. Okay, and we should be passing, maybe we can just pass no. Well, anyway, let's leave it at that. I need to go and find the Xbox 360 outputs. If we open it now, we're basically going to just do the same thing, which is basically, you know, right where we were. Let's go in edit input. Let's go, let's take one of this, I guess. Let's take one of this. And I want to change this to select or back, or, you know, whatever Xbox has renamed that for obvious reasons. And the positive button, I actually want to have joystick button 6. From what I see, that's the one for PC. Let's duplicate one of the above as well. Let's change that to G, but we also want to rename that to select, you know, for keyboard. Okay, we have our two buttons. Now into input handler, should be in here. We should have bool is select or is gesture open, and on our get input we're simply going to say is gestures open, or better yet we're going to have bool gestures menu will be input get button. Let's go with up, and we should have a static string, pick the definition, public static string select static strings dot select. Okay, and if gestures menu, then is gestures open will be the opposite. So what this will let us do, we can simply add, let's add the one that's called void, and we're going to say handle UI, and this will come into play a bit later when we work with you know, when we work with our inventory and stuff like that. I want to handle everything from my UI manager, so I'm just going to put a reference in here for our public gestures manager. I'm just calling this gestures. I don't think we have a start, we have an awake though. So let's add the start, void start gestures will be gestures manager dot singleton. When we have the inventory, we have to worry about the inventory, then we're going to do things later there, in here basically. So back into input handler now. Maybe I want to close this, but what I'm going to say is yeah, I've lost my input handler. No, it's here, handle UI, and it's going to be if gestures open, maybe that's not really. Anyway, let's do UI manager dot gestures dot gestures grid dot set active is gestures open. We can write this slightly cleaner. UI manager dot gestures dot is act or no. Yeah, I've changed my mind. I want to change to do this inside here. So I'm just going to say public void handle gestures, and or actually let's just add it inside gestures manager. Public void handle gestures, so we should be passing a bool is open, and if here if is open, else down here. So if it's open, and if gestures grid dot is false, then gestures grid dot set active to true. And we should also do if gestures grid dot active in here, then gestures grid dot set active to false. And we can just pass this. input handler, that will be gestures dot handle gestures is open, that will be is gestures open. Okay, and this will open up our UI. On fixed update, or better yet, we can just do it on update, I guess. Before we update the states though, we want to be passing handle UI in here. In handle UI, I want to basically be closing all of this if one of these is open, for example, because I want to be handling movement. So I'm going to say if gesture is open, the up be false, the down will be false, the left false, the up false, oops, right will be false. But if the left, then we're going to be switching the indexes. If the right, we're also going to be switching the indexes. So that will be handle gestures public integer. Well, actually it doesn't need to be public, but we can have it as an index. Okay, we need to be calling this, yeah. So we're also going to create public, let's hide it though, inspector public transform, or yeah, let's go with public transform, or better yet, public sprite selector, and you will see what this is going to be. And when we are creating all of this, we want to have on our icon dot selector no, this is the container, yeah, we don't want this in here, we want it into the icon base. Public no, that's actually a bad idea, no, forget that. So yeah, let's do it the first way. So I'm going to just have transform UI, or we can just do save the rect position, the rectangle position, that is, and that would be rect icon dot no gestures I dot rectangle position, that we're going to take it get component rect transform dot, let's save the anchor position and we'll see if we need it for something else. Okay, so we have the index, so we should do public void change or select gesture or something like that, select gesture, okay, and we should be doing bool positive or negative. So if it's positive, else, and that will be your, or yeah, we can just do this, I guess. If it's positive, index plus plus, index minus minus, and that will also make it so that if index is higher, is lower than 0, then index is going to be your gestures dot count minus 1, else, not else, if index is greater than gestures dot count minus 1, that will be your index is 0. We need a selector, So I'm going to create one public game object. Let's call this gesture selector. And actually I want to just save the rectangle transform because it's going to make things way easier. Okay. Although, yeah, anyway, we're going to see that. So I want to have gesture selector. I want to actually, the selector, I'm going to enable it and disable it at the same time I'm enabling and disable the grid. So that will be in here. Set tag, not set false. Yeah, game object dot set active false. Take this and pass it as true. Okay, and here we can just say gesture selector dot rect transform. No, we don't even need that. Just anchor position, that will be from your gestures in index dot the rectangle position. Okay, close that, close this, and what we can do, actually rectangle position might not even be what we need. I'm going to copy the template. I'm going to bring it up here. I'm going to also open the previous template, but I want to start deleting well, most of it. For example, I think I definitely don't need a layer mask. I don't need an outline. I don't need, let's see what we're doing. I don't need the base. I only want the background, and that will be something yellowish with much smaller opacity, maybe even smaller, something like that. And that will basically be the tint we have on top of our characters, if that worked. And it doesn't for some reason, unless it works and I can't see it. Yeah, it works. Okay, so that will be your tint that you're going to select you. Maybe we can make it slightly better. No, it's because they have, all of them have different opacity, so it's kind of a little bit harder to spot. You can see that it works though. Anyway, so this will be our selector. Let's rename this to gesture selector. Let's create an old container. Let's call this gestures all. Let's drop these two so it's a little bit clearer, as you can see. And now I've decided that it doesn't want to work, I guess. Gesture selector. We don't want an icon base in here. We want background, something like that. On our UI manager now, gestures, we want gesture manager, we want gesture selector. Okay, let's hit play. We might get an error. No, we just forgot to close the gesture selector on start. So that will be on create gestures UI. Over here we can just say also gesture selector set active, game object set active false. Okay, so let's see, let's pass handle gestures into our input handler now. If D left up, that will be UI manager dot gestures dot handle, no handle gestures, say, or select gesture, I guess. Select gesture positive, that will be false. and in here this will be true. Let's see if this is going to work. We don't want the template. Open, close that, and hit play. I'm pressing the select. The anchor position is, yeah, it's not what we want. So we're going to do something else. Instead of getting the anchor position, I can get it so that let's think. Instead of getting the anchor position, let's get the entire gesture, or do we have the icon? Yeah, we have the icon. So, interesting. Let's get the icon base. Let's call it I, gestures, index dot icon. We can say that gesture selector dot transform dot set parent I dot transform. That's probably not the icon we want. That's the sprite. So we want the icon base, I guess. Yeah, let's call this icon base. Let's call this iBase, and here this will be iBase, and we can just pass the icon, and that will be icon base dot iBase. Let's see, this could work. Save, hit play. Select, and it didn't. It doesn't because it changes the. It will change the icon, but you can see that the position will remain the same. I'm guessing. Okay, you see that the gesture selector is over here, but it's just repositioned, so that means we just need to reset the anchored position as well. So that will be set parent I transform gesture selector dot anchored position vector 2.0. And yeah, .0 is not the correct place, but oops, where it should be correct though, it should be instead of the I transform, we can do I dot icon dot transform. Let's see, because we have onto our template, if we were parenting under the icon base, it just means that it's going to be sitting in this position into the background. We want it to have on the icon level, maybe into the background. No, this could have been correct. Well, anyway, it's one position there. We can just hard code it, I guess. Let's hit select. Yeah, that isn't really the best solution. So let's do again I.transform. I think we need to also be parenting it first, I guess. Select. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to my background, well, whatever it is, gesture selector, and I'm basically going to eyeball it. For example, this is the second one, as you can see. it's not the first one, and this is the position I want. So that will be, okay, this is a hack anyway, doesn't matter. 81 minus 50. You know, instead of wasting time to try to debug this, who cares? Let's just do it like that and we'll be done. And I think maybe it has to do with anchoring, now that I think about it. Okay, the first one will be off, but yeah, we can switch basically, but it's a little bit too fast because we are with axes. But yeah, we can move the selections. Let's make it so that you always select first. You will select one. We can just yeah, select gesture, create gesture UI. Let's say for, yeah, let's go with true. Or actually I'm just going to say false, and I'm going to start the index. I'm going to start the index at 1, so it will just be negative on the first time. So not negative, it's going to go from 1 to 0, so that means we're going to have selected our first one. And we also need to fix our inputs in here. Yeah, or basically in here, because they move too fast. We should be doing something like this basically, which will be, actually, let's take these two, let's copy paste this and bring them up in here. And I'm basically going to switch this UI manager. Okay, PD left, and for the right I'm going to change this to right and close all this. And this will basically just means that you have your gestures, or your gestures are open. We should probably though make it slightly more cleaner. Yeah. So I'm going to take handle quick slot changes entirely out of this, and I'm going to bring it in here. This is where we should have a state machine, I believe. Let's remove this. Let's create. We don't want public. Let's create this UI state, and we have game gestures. Later on we have inventory, and we can have handle gestures UI, and we have the quick slot already. So I'm just going to take this. I want to take this actually over here. Handle, and here we can have a switch UI state game. For game we can, well, you know, we only have to do the handle quick slot, and this will also be UI state, current UI state, and we should be passing that. For gestures, it means we want to pass the handle gestures UI, and inventory will handle that later. So yeah, this should work. There's no need why it shouldn't work, but yeah, it should work, I guess. Let's try this. Select, and yeah, it didn't work. It didn't work as expected actually. Oh, it doesn't work because we forgot to change the current UI state. So if it gestures open, current UI state will be gestures, else current UI state will be game. Okay, can't get simpler than that. Hit play. That's not play. This is the play. And we have our gestures, but we don't reset the input. So we need to take one more thing. In here, we should be doing, not in here, in here, we don't reset this. And to reset that, we simply need to go back in here, down here, and take these two, and have them here. Okay, close that. Cool, awesome. Okay, so let's make it so that you can select one of these and play the let's close this as well. We can store the, yeah, let's do like that, I guess. String gesture animation, and that will go. Let's go into our gestures manager. On the select gesture, let's make it a string. Let's also make it so that you return your gestures index dot target animation. So this will return you back the animation you have on your gesture. You can still use it as a function, like we're doing it in here, but it's just going to, you know, has slightly more garbage, but since it's a string, it's not really an issue. And since we're not aiming for anything mobile, it's never an issue. And yeah, that will go again into the input handler in handle gestures UI. And here we can just say gestures animation or gestures animation, whatever it returns from the select gesture, and we have this as well. So I believe we don't have anywhere else the A input. Yeah, we're only using it in here. So that means we can also say if A input, do something in here. The first thing we want to do is gestures open. Okay, it's false. And the next thing we want to go and create, we want to have into our state manager, which should have been over here, but it's not. Let's pin this, and I want to also pin the input handler and the gesture manager. Let's also pin the UI manager. Okay, so basically what I want to do is have all this, oops, and encapsulate it somewhere. So if I only pass a kick, or if I only pass an animation I want to play, this will all open, so we don't have to make all of this, you know, write them all the time. So I'm going to simply say public void play animation. We're going to say string target animation. We want to have, let's also pass if you want this to be mirrored. And we can simply go here, say take all of this, can attack on empty, can move in action. All this can be true. And yeah, we can just, you know, we want this as well. And this function can play a lot more, can make a lot more sense in the future when we add multiplayer. So that means because I have all of this in here, can kick should also be false. I can simply get rid of all of this and get rid of this as well. So play animation, kick animation is mirrored. This one will be false. We can also take this and change this one in here, like we don't need this anymore. We can just pass, let's see, we have play animation. Now it's going to be your target animation. Is mirror is going to be controlled by the slot, so that means we also don't need this anymore. We don't need this as well. We don't need this. Okay, the other can stay, so we can just delete this 4 as well, and this will work exactly the same. You can also do it on the spell actions, okay, or wherever you want to play an animation, but let's not play with our lag. Let's play it, or for example this one, we can change this one at least. So let's say play animation, can't spell. I guess can't cast would make more sense if I renamed it that, but anyway, and we can just delete all this. Let's see if this is going to play before we try our gestures, or however they're called. Okay, attacks work exactly as they were before. Kick works okay, it's fine. We can rotate, we can do all the stuff, we can kick, which is cool. Select, we have our gestures, awesome. Now close that and let's go into input handler again. Okay, so when you are pressing the A input, it's going to close your gestures, but what it's also going to do is we can say states dot play animation gesture animation is mirrored. You want to say false. Let's see if this is going to play now. Select, and it doesn't. It doesn't, but let's see why it doesn't. Crossfade, in action true, it should have played. I'm going to guess that it's coming here, right? So let's put it in backlog, close that, unless it wasn't the A input. Now, yeah, I think it's because the first time you assign the gesture, it doesn't save it anywhere. So we can say on the gesture manager, we just have to update. So okay, let's play it dirty. Public string gesture animation, or current gesture, you can rename this to whatever you want. We don't want this to be returning a string anymore, so we want this to assigning a gesture animation in here. Let's go into our input handler. Let's delete the gesture animation since we don't need it, and instead of doing all of this, our gesture animation now is going to be saved into the gesture manager. So all I need to say is UI manager dot gestures dot gesture animation let's say in here. Okay, and here's our gestures, and they work exactly like the other animation, so you can add events on it, on them, and this is actually pretty cool. You know what's coming next. You knew it before you even started the series. But yeah, you have a detrimental, say, in essence, the Dark Souls controller. Like this was the stepping stone or the milestone to reach that we have a controller. Anyway, okay, it's fun. It's what we want. And it's super cool. So you can also just keep adding animations, whatever you want in there. It doesn't have to be gestures, but logically it's working the same as our attack animations. So we are consistent with the way we work with our controller. We're not hacked our controller to do something else that it wasn't supposed to. Because as you can see, when I'm attacking with my attack, you can see it plays that animation. If I'm playing a gesture, it just plays a different animation and it will go back into that one. And yeah, you can annoy people with gestures now. Awesome. One more thing we can do. We can have, let's see, we can basically close the items. So if you also say state manager, or no, input handler, I think in our states, if we say states dot use using item to return that to true, this will work. This will close our weapons. Put it in here. Let's open it up. Hit play, and it didn't. However, I think if we are using the so that means we have forgot, because we can close our weapons when we're using an item. Let's see. Then on our state manager, we should have one where we are using the item. At health, no. Tick. I think it's detect action. Spell, no. Oh, detect item action. So it's over here. Basically, use anim. No. It's in here. Using item. Oh, we have this as well. Using item, right hand weapon model will be this. So there's also the interacting that is basically, you know, making us do this. So we just need a way to overpass all of this, override all of this. Well, you know, we can just add using item. Let's just add using gesture, public bool, using gesture, and we can simply say using item, if not using gesture, do all of this. Okay, else, oops, no, not else. Over here, well, you can, only close one, or you close both if you have them. Left hand weapon, inventory manager dot left hand weapon dot weapon model dot set active. Can say false. We can say false again. Actually, you can even, let's see what we can add on our gesture manager, and we can select which ones we want. So let's say public bool, close weapons. Okay, and into the input handler we can say over here, if UI manager dot UI manager dot gestures dot close, it's coming here, gestures manager public bool close weapons. Where we update the gesture animation, we should also be updating the close weapons. Gestures index dot close weapons. If you want to make it so that you can actually control which weapons you want to close, if it's the right hand, the left hand, just add one more boolean and add it in here. Okay, nothing else is going to change. It's going to remain the same logic. Input handler gestures dot close weapons. Actually, I want to make it a little bit more generic than using gestures. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go into my state manager, and I'm going to say not using gestures. I'm going to rename that with Control R so that it replaces any other instance, and I'm going to say close weapons. Okay, so if you're closing the weapons, if you don't want to close the weapons, make it so that the using item is going to control at least if the right hand weapon is closed or open. But if you have closed your weapons, then it's always going to run in here. To control if you want to have your weapons closed or not, it basically means if you are in here, okay, the animation is playing. If it's not playing, then it probably means that you don't want to have your weapons closed anymore. Awesome. Now, on the input handler, if you have enabled on your gestures to close your weapons, you can say states.close weapons will be true. Let's delete this, we don't need them. Okay, and let's make it a bit like this. Awesome. So let's go into UI manager. Let's go into our gestures. Let's say on the hello we want to close the weapons. Let's do all it for our points, or I guess let's keep the hello with weapons. Let's close the weapons on the praise. Well, anyway, you can do whatever you want with that. So let's try this. Okay, we have our weapons. We don't have weapons. And final one, if you don't want any weapons. We are missing something, and that is why, because we also should be assigning we should be, you know, if we have a left-hand weapon, we should be making it through also. Awesome. So, yeah, we're actually close to be done. Let's fix onto our state manager though our health. Let's add some health to this guy. I think it was character stats. Let's start with 100, 100, and 100. Let's hit play. Let's try them again. Awesome. And they work as they should. Yeah, the fingers, as you can see, that there's only one finger pointing, and that's because on the animation, on the mess I was doing the animation on, I only had one bone for the whole hand, but because this guy has a full, has actually fingers, then it took that bone as the hand. It took that bone as the first finger, and that's why the rest of the fingers are closed. Well, anyway, that's how it is. Now, the only difference is that we might be in here. Yeah, we cannot move the same way as it is in Dark Souls. Like, I cannot move when I'm pointing forward. To do that, it's basically having two animations, two of the same animations, all of this, and having them again into the interactions. So it will be like what I'm doing here with the items. Okay, like I can move, but I'm not doing it now because the animations will basically look horrible because they weren't made to be layered on top of the below animations. So he's just going to be pointing anywhere. Okay, this is pretty cool actually. So, yeah, as you can guess, I'm going to leave you here with a gesture. So, yeah, if you like what we're doing, you know by now that your support is really much needed to continue making it, okay, and adding all more cool stuff like this. And the ways you can support me, of course, is via Patreon, which you also get additional rewards depending on your pledge, and you will also be able to see the videos much earlier than when they are going live. The other way you can support me is, of course, via Gumroad by buying a project or two, including this one. So, I'm leaving you with a praise, and I'll see you next time.